I think about 15 years ago, this is my 17th year teaching for the Redmond School District, and about 15 years ago, my mom's dear friend, Linda Trout, said, Mandy, we need a Key Club advisor at Redmond High School. As a new young English teacher who grades papers for a living, I said,
don't assign so much.
What does that entail? And she said, oh, it's no big deal. You just give them a place to meet once a week. So I think you can tell I was very naive when I first started teaching.
If you fell for that, we'd like you to be in line with the president.
Yes, I just need to be here. So about 15 years ago, I stepped up and I found a young group of people who were in my classes currently. Tara Maloney is a counselor now. She has her master's degree and she's a practicing counselor here in town. She's married to Sean Maloney. He's a teacher at Elton Gregory. Was one of my first Key Club members. And I just had a group of kids together and we did everything together in the name of service. And you would call and we would come. And there were great memories with just nice kids who just wanted to be involved and wanted to serve a bigger purpose. And that's kind of my induction into Key Club. So over the years, as we continued with our service and just really didn't look for work, but we never turned work down. It seems like it was always finding us, and it was just easier to say yes and to model that with my students. An interesting thing about Key Club is that it's ever changing. We're working with new clientele every single year. We've got our students that move on and that graduate. And so it just kind of reinvents itself every year. So as I left Redmond High School to open up Ridgeview High School, I was asked again to have another Key Club and start up in that capacity, and I was happy to serve in that capacity. We have a niche, I believe, with Key Club that isn't filled by a lot of other groups that we have within our schools. We have National Honor Society, we have Sparrow Clubs, we have a lot of clubs that provide community service, but to me, the purpose of Key Club was taking a group of kids who aren't otherwise the most overly committed, not the most involved, not the most popular, but a group of kids who said, I have something to give. And for me, as you can kind of tell, it was my energy and my enthusiasm that have kind of drawn kids into this club over the years. We laughed about why Eric was here today and why he joined Key Club. Steve asked him, and he said because he has third period AP Lang writing 121 with me, and he was staying late doing work one day, and Key Club started, so he had to stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance, and he's now in Key Club. So I've found just talking with kids over the years, they really do want to help. They really do want to support our community. And the question I'm asked most with being a high school teacher is, why high school? A lot of people shudder when they think about the idea about working with teenagers for a living. I know you don't, I know you love them. And I always had a different take on it. I don't like small children. It's not a very nice thing to admit. I do have a son, and don't be confused, I love him. He's pretty much the only one. Teenagers have a gift, and they have an energy and an enthusiasm, and they share it with us, their teachers, and they share it with us, their advisors. And I've watched kids be so rude and disrespectful to their parents, and they're some of my favorite kids in the class. And I'm starting to see it with my own, as I'm sure you are with Danny, my own 12-year-old son. We go to Dutch Brothers. I rarely pay for a coffee in this town. They're all my students. They always give me free coffees, to which I look at my son and I see they like me. But working with teenagers, I find that they're in that weird part of their life where they're trying to grow up and be independent from their parents, and they're trying to be responsible, and their parents still see him as a child. And so they have that battle going on at home. that they don't seem to have. They want to give much more to their teachers, and they want to give much more to us in the schools and to connect with us and have an adult who can treat them like a responsible adult and still offer them some wisdom for life. Perhaps it's college. So I really see it as an opportunity to work with kids and to connect with them and to just show them that there's still another way to serve. So there's another part of being a teacher where part of us feels like our job is public service because we give so much. You know, we have these contract hours that are 7 to 3. You see our cars there every night. I work with kids every single day during my prep on college essays. Right now, the common application is due for early admission today. So I've had lots of kids emailing me their essays and working with them. And it's another place for us to say that we're giving and we're serving the community. But it's not something I think that we're modeling for kids on how they can contribute themselves. So Key Club really provides an opportunity for them to help out a community. And I typically start with projects really small, and then we try to get bigger as the year goes on. So I know John comes to me and says, we want to support you. What are you doing? What can we do to help you? And I really appreciate that. But we always try to start our community service projects as really small. And one of the ones we have done that you probably saw in our newsletter the other day was we pick up trash in our parking lot. So the day we decided that we were going to pick up trash most recently was on a Friday, and it was dark and cold and windy, and I had on a dress, and I had my hair curled. And I always find that being an advisor isn't having a room for kids to meet. It's being elbow to elbow with students and working with them. So as I tried to talk them out in my 3rd period class before lunch of doing this project, Garrett Crouch is in there saying, nope, let's do it, let's go. I want to go out there, let's pick up trash. So Hannah is your exchange daughter that we have this year, was in there. And if the kids are willing, I have to be willing too. So we got our trash bags, we got our rubber gloves. Some of us had grabbers from the custodians, and we went out and we picked up trash, and we joked about the things that we found. A lot of us found 2 socks, not matching. And we would run around like children, right, Garrett? Picking up trash and bragging about what we found. But the reason I think it was so important to do it that day is we were hosting 2 home games for our soccer teams that night. They were underneath the football lights, and it was our senior night, so all of our senior athletes were being recognized. And we said, we want a clean parking lot when people come to visit, when people come to see our campus. The kids recognize the fact that it's not the custodian's job to pick up a parking lot. They have enough to do within cleaning up our building. It was an opportunity for us to recognize Ridgeview High School as a community in which we had something to offer. We could pick up trash, we could make it a better place, we could enjoy each other's company and have fun and run around and giggle and come back inside and feel like we'd done something that day. Another comment that I've heard from Eric Beal is he said, he's also in, both of them are National Honor Society, and he said, you know what I like about Key Club? He said, we do things. A lot of the other clubs, they talk about doing things, and a lot of clubs, they pay their dues, and they talk about how good it's gonna look on their applications and their resumes. They don't do things. And I appreciate the fact that Eric recognized from day one when he was involved, we're a club that does things. So as we continue our journey for Ridgeview High School this year, the projects will get bigger. We certainly look forward to being marshals in parades. They wanted to, I applaud Redmond High School for doing the warm clothing drive too as well, and we should probably be in communication and do some challenges with the 2 schools, because it's an awesome opportunity for them to get involved and serve and start seeing outside of their campuses is how they can serve the community of Redmond. Some of the other things that the kids want to do this year is they really want at Christmas time, this year they've talked about creating boxes for soldiers. I think that's what we talked about last Friday. So they want to create gift boxes with just thank you letters, Christmas cards, candy, and send them to soldiers overseas. So we found online the way that we can serve in this capacity, and so that's another feat that we're going to be trying to work up this season. Another thing that we like to do is the bell ringing. We love the dinglings, as it were. We love engaging with you guys in that. We have in years past adopted a Saturday in and of itself as a Ridgeview High School ringing day. Last year I had no success with Salvation Army in getting back with me in order to adopt another Saturday. So whoever's in charge of that, I'll probably find out who that contact person is at this point so we can do that. We're also looking at how we can grow Key Club because I teach all seniors. Half my schedule I teach Ready 121 and 122, and half my schedule I teach standard seniors. My entire Key Club this year is seniors. And so I'm really trying to find ways for them to bring in siblings, to bring in the underclassmen in order to build the club and have some continuity with leadership. Because it's hard for them to have leadership when they just start the club this year. They look to me as their leader, and I think that's one thing that we're falling short of, is having them recognize the capacity to which they can serve as a president, the vice president, the secretary, treasurer, etc. So I'm really looking to grow the club outside of the seniors and trying to bring in some underclassmen. And one thing we're going to try to do with that is our school's an AVID school. And so I'm not sure if you're familiar with this program. Advancement via, do you remember it, Garrett? Individual commitment, I think, individual determination. This program that we have done some training in with AVID takes kids that otherwise might not go to college, and we start them at the 9th grade year, and there's 30 kids in a class, and they're together the entire year, and they're actually together their entire 4 years of high school. And what happens is their parents probably didn't go to college themselves. They're probably kids who have a high intellect, but maybe low performance in terms of their GPA. So they're recommended by teachers as having something to give if they had a little bit more support within the school framework. In the AVID classes, what they're doing is they're working on their study skills. They're actually visiting colleges starting their freshman year. They're doing a college visitation here in a couple weeks. And they're also looking at how they can pay back the community that is supporting them. So I've talked to the AVID teachers about doing some challenge days with them because Key Club has decided we're going to do a once-a-month campus cleanup and pick different parts of our campus to work on. So we've talked to the AVID teachers about challenging, Key Club challenging some of these other AVID groups, National Honor Society, probably even some of our sporting teams to come together and do a one-day lunch period campus cleanup and get as many groups out as possible. But what we'd like to do with that is have more involvement at the school level, but also show them what Key Club is and how we interact with the school. Because there's this misconception that we make keys. So that's kind of how we're trying to grow the program this year. But I'm not somebody who ever gets bogged down and gets upset at the idea that we don't have freshmen, sophomores, juniors. I always celebrate the kids that I have because they're doers. And I know it's the same thing with Kiwanis. It's not a matter of shaming people because they can't participate in an event. It's a matter of celebrating those people who do show up and, like you said, enjoying picking up trash, enjoy being together, enjoying seeing how that we can serve our community in a bigger capacity. And ultimately, I want these students to see that they gave something of themselves in high school so that they can continue to contribute as adults as they go off into their own respective communities. Because we have to take care of ourselves, and whether that's just in our school, or if that's just in our city, or whether that's just us as humanity, it's an important part of who we are. So I so appreciate the support that you're giving to our Key Clubs and that you guys come to our meetings. We love seeing John every Friday. He always shakes our hands and enjoys our young people. And just thank you so much for continuing to offer opportunities for us to serve you in this community. Do you have any questions for me? I figured yes.
Yeah, not really want to say, you've served our community in this way for so many years. And I dropped in just for the last 4 or 5 years to a bunch of your meetings. And I'm convinced that it's your energy, your personal example, that helps these kids understand the value of service. And I want to commend you for the energy and dedication you give to it.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Well, I have a statement and then a question.
Okay.
So yes, we really appreciate what Key Clubbers are doing, and we are awarding about $15,000 in scholarships every year, and so we, in our way of screening the applicants, we do give some extra points to those who are in Key Club. So we're trying to look out for these people who are serving with us. My question is, what is happening with the culture in the schools? We used to be able to send some Key Club members to district conventions, and in fact, one year I think we even had some division officers from must have been Redmond High School at the time. So why does that not happen anymore?
So the district convention in Seattle, they have moved to spring break, to be quite honest. Me liking my son and him being a baseball player, I do 2 different things during spring break. Every other spring break I travel abroad with students, and so I did a World War II tour with kids last year where we went to 4 countries. And then I take my son to spring training in Arizona. So I'm not available to take kids to the convention anymore. So I think that's the reason. Yes, sir.
And just for the club's benefit, Kiwanis Club members have taken these students to Key Club convention in the past, and it's lots of fun. I mean, it's absolutely riot. And bottom line is that you should be thinking about that. It's at the end of spring break, which doesn't affect most of us, or some of us anyway. And so it's a great opportunity to go be with these kids, see the outstanding accomplishments that these young people can and have produced all over the Northwest, from Alaska to Northern California. And it's really fun, and I think what we need to be working on, President Rowland, is a list of individuals that would be willing to do that with the students. And while I've got the floor, being mindful that Key Club past presidents have become very, very successful. If you know, lost the names, but that one of the Key Club presidents is currently a congressional aide in Washington, D.C., and has been for a number of years. One of the Key Club presidents has a PhD in refined molecular biology program, and is all over the world with her research and her articles, and communicates with us periodically. And one of them is a research scientist as well in, I think with the Mayo Group, or was with the Mayo Group, if not now. And so the club has benefited a number of individuals, and that they've become very, very successful. And I can't help but think that the club has provided some benefit to that future and that career.
Absolutely.
I'll add to that.
Okay.
What Don said, because I think as a club we appreciate the opportunity we have to mentor, whatever you want to call our role, with the Key Clubs, and it's association between Kiwanis International and Key Clubs has been around for a long time. And we need to take every opportunity, this being one that Don mentioned, and you bringing up these, or Carl did, these district convention thing. We've done it in the past. We've got a big enough club, 60 so members. We have these opportunities we can take advantage of.
Yeah, if there was an adult who was available to take them, of course that doesn't help my dilemma about just having seniors in the club, but if we did some recruiting between now and then, we could find some leadership. But yeah, if an adult could take them, they could. And that's when they do 2 days of the convention. They do training for how to be the president, vice president, treasurer, etc. So they do those specific trainings during the convention as well.
Next time you go to Europe, let
Yes.
us know.
Yes. Yes, it was amazing. Poland is probably my favorite country I've ever been to, and I had no idea how amazing Poland was.
There's also another conference, I think, in the fall. It's called Key Leader. Is that right, Carl? Key Leader is in the fall. If for some reason the Seattle conference in February doesn't, or February, March doesn't work, I think we could maybe send some kids maybe from both clubs to that conference. And I think we've done it, not very often, but we've done it in the past where a few kids have gone. But I guess one thing I'd like to say about Key Club, and Mandy, thanks for your continued support. And we're so thrilled that you're taking over Red and Olivia to have the ball in that class. So thank you very much. The clubs can do what they want. I mean, it's an organization where they get to pick where they get to serve. Whether it's supporting a sparrow or building a water fountain or whatever they want to do, a coat drive. It's up to them, but they get to take on that leadership role and find out what's important to them. And that's why I like the individuality of the clubs, because it can vary from year to year. And it's just, but we need our advisors there, and we can't stand up both of you for